Hey guys, so it is Con Bravo time, and we have a little bit of time between panels, so we decided that we are going to do our Strain vlog. For those of you who haven't heard, Del Toro's book, The Strain, has now become a TV show put on by FX.
FX, yeah.
Yeah, and it aired a few days ago.
Yes.
So, we are super excited for this series, and the first episode was definitely worth talking about.
Definitely. Okay, first off, have to say, super big Del Toro fan, so the fact that he now has a TV show is like weekly doses of Del Toro is the best thing. It's everything I've ever wanted. And when I first originally read The Strain, I was like, why is this a book? Like, why did he do this as a book? This definitely should be a movie or a TV show because it's just so visceral.
Yeah, and I actually hated the book. Not because I thought it was bad, like the story was bad or the characters were bad or anything like that, but he just spent so much time telling you everything that everyone was doing that it just made me want to beat my head against a wall. and so, but I looked at it and I was like, if this were a book or a movie, or if this were a TV show or a movie, this would be excellent. And lo and behold, he finally got funding.
And okay, so brief talk about the viral marketing campaigns, because I was definitely watching this from the very get-go. The whole, like, the very first thing they released was just like two people sitting and a whole bunch of rats came out of like the sewer, and I'm just like, oh my god, because I didn't know if I was gonna be able to do this. And as each thing came out, I was just like, oh my goodness. And the culmination of this entire viral marketing campaign was a poster that they ended up pulling because it offended too many people, which was this like a worm coming out of someone's eye. And it was funny because like there was this whole debacle online about like, oh, you know, they had to pull it. No. I walk into a bookstore a couple days before the premiere, and lo and behold, what is the new cover of the Strain book? That poster. What is The Strain about, Chelsey?
It is about vampires, but before you shut off the video and run away screaming, it is not the type of vampires that you're used to. He has kind of reshaped them into something that's gruesome and creepy and oh my god, run away. Just, ugh.
We are dealing with Dracula plus plague.
Kind of deal.
When I was rethinking about this like book, when I was trying to remember it, I started to find a lot of parallels with Dracula, which was kind of really cool. Like the very beginning of The Strain, a plane lands at, is it JFK? I forget, airport in New York, and it goes dead. And what happens in Dracula, Chelsey?
You have the ship that just kind of comes in, and the whole crew is just like dead, and they have no idea what happened.
And of course, in The Strain, you have Jewish Van Helsing,
yeah,
who is by far the best character.
He was the best character in the book. He's the best character in the TV show.
Main character is F. Goodman, good weather, very kind of like everyman name. He works for the CDC, and
for those of you who have read Feed, you're going, oh my god, not those people. They're the bad guys, it's all their fault.
Whenever we come across the CDC, like the CDC is on the news, the CDC is in a book or in a movie, I'm just like, do not trust them.
Yeah, it's been ingrained.
So he gets called in for this plane, and meanwhile our good buddy Jewish Van Helsing, who I forget his name because I'm a horrible person, is like, he sees like the news report on TV, like, oh, this has happened, and he's just like, all right, I've been waiting for this. Let's go do this. I must go spread the word. But his intro is like amazing. How they introduce him.
Yeah, where he's like this tough old man running this like pawn shop, and some guys come in and try and rob him, and he just like grabs them and like holds a knife to one of them, and he's like, you can shoot me, and that's a good idea, but your buddy's gonna be dead. They're just like terrified and run out. And
he's played by the guy who played Filch and Walder Frey.
Yeah. So intimidating fellow. F, I really actually liked him. I wasn't like so much a fan of him in the book. He seemed like very quiet and like kind of person, but in the TV show he's definitely got like more of a like presence, and he's kind of a little bit more, I guess, charismatic and energetic, I guess, is what I...
For me, F was really, like, weird because I just came off of a really, really long House of Cards bender. And he's a character, he's in House of Cards. And he plays this, like, guy who's a recovering alcoholic drug guy who's trying to be a congressman and who's trying to pull his life together, and he's bald. And so here's this actor with this full head of hair being, like, this, like decent character, and I'm just like, but that's not
That's not who you are.
See, that's what happens when you marathon TV shows and messes with your reality. Okay, so one thing I definitely noticed with this show is the color palette. Like, it is friggin' gorgeous. Like, you can definitely, like, sense Del Toro all over this thing. I was reading that he did not want red on his set at all. The red, because he wanted, like, when someone would be bleeding out or whatever, like, so that it'll stand out. It's very green and blue.
Yeah. Well, that's really all you got.
Yeah. And, but, like, it's like film major porn. It's just like,
it's so pretty.
You just want to, like, lick it. It's just so amazing and beautiful and just,
They had a few traumatizing-esque scenes.
Oh yeah, let's talk about those.
For you had your Sweet Caroline scene.
Okay, so basically the bodies have now been offloaded off this plane. F goes, hey, coroner buddy, I need you to, like, check these out for me. Look at them under UV light. Guy's like, cool. And so, oh, and by the way, do it by yourself. We don't want this getting out. And I'm just like, you're not coming back, are you? And so, cut to the scene of the coroner in his, like, abandoned lab.
With all these dead bodies.
With all these bodies around him, dead, lying on, like, slabs and everything. And he has, like, radio going, and it's playing Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond. And I'm just like, this is not going to be good. And so he's like, he's, like, taking his, like, audio notes, and he reels the body under the UV light, and he's just like, oh, crap, look at this, no. And then the little worm thingies, like, come out and, like, gets under his glove and starts burrowing under his skin, and I'm just like, oh my, because, like, okay, plague stories really, really freak me out. This is, like, my one true fear in life. And so he's like, he's gonna be, I know what's gonna happen to you, I know what this is. And I'm, like, starting to get really, really uncomfortable. And then more of the vampire guys raise up and, like, are walking around. I'm like, okay, the fact that you're walking around with your bowels hanging out really should be disturbing me right now.
but it's just kind of zombie.
Thank you. You've taken back this scene. Thank you. What about you?
One thing that kind of really got me for its violence was actually the scene where one of the guys who happens to be working in, like, the building with where they're storing the coffin that they found, and he's just kind of walking around and he sees kind of like a trail of blood or something. I don't know. He's just checking stuff out like you shouldn't do in a horror movie, and all of a sudden this vampire comes out of nowhere, sucks him dry, and then, like, when the body falls to the ground, he smashes the head just to pieces, and I was just like, oh, that's gross. Ugh.
It's like rewatching the scene, I think the movie Scanners by Cronenberg, and the head explodes. Like, this show is very, very visceral. Like, it's just guts. One more thing, we gotta talk about our setup for our villains.
Oh, yeah.
We have Eldritch. I forget what his last name, but the fact that his name is Eldritch is, like, really just kind of funny because Eldritch Horrors is, like, a Lovecraftian kind of, like, thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I get what that's from. But he wants to live forever. He's obsessed with living forever, and so it's this bitch who causes this entire thing.
And of course they're on the island of Manhattan, so once they get in, like, it's just difficult to get out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's things are going down, and then you've got, like, your creepy
German Nazi guy.
Yeah, with the eyes that just kind of, like, flicker, like he's got, like, an extra film over his eyes or something.
Definitely, like, I'm really interested in how they're going to do the vampires, like, when they start showing them, because the fact that when I remember this book, and I know my perception has been really influenced by the graphic novel with how the vampires look. They're kind of like these big, white, kind of bulky, like, maggoty skin-looking things with the big tongue
Yeah.
stingers. And then you see this German vampire dude who's, like, completely, like, suave and normal.
I have a feeling, though, that he's not, like, the full vampire. He's some kind of, like...
In between.
Yeah. Because in the book, like, you turn...
There are, like, phases of the turning, yeah.
I don't know for sure. I don't remember the character in the book if he was even there, but definitely the finished product is not supposed to be pretty.
Oh man, like
just
with their trailers for this show, they didn't show any vampire thing, and so finally when the full, like, first, like, real non-teaser trailer, and they kind of showed the vampire that eventually attacks the guy, all you could see was just, like, these creepy robes and this big like, it looked like a muscle that came out.
Yeah.
And I don't find that as creepy as the little ones, because, like, the way the other vampires, they have, like, these little kind of stinger things, and they just, like...
Yeah, it's kind of more like a frog's tongue, and it's, like, that's how I pictured it, too. Like, just, like, almost like a wire or something. Just, like, that's way more creepy to me than this giant.
And I guess we should talk about the very ending, which was the beginning, where, so during, people were trying to reclaim the bodies, and through the whole thing there was, like, this monologue at the beginning about love.
As being the driving force for humanity.
And so, and they're like, love will lead them home. And so eventually it cuts back to this one guy who was in the airport whose daughter was killed on the plane. And he's just walking around doing stuff, and I'm just like, don't open the door, buddy. When the doorbell rings, don't open the door. And in walks this little girl like, Daddy, I'm cold. And I'm just like, no, I can't do this.
Like, there's clearly something wrong with her. She's like, she's not just like, Daddy, I'm home. It's like clearly like a dead walking body, like, that stumbled into this home.
Daddy, I'm so cold, Daddy. And I'm just like,
yeah, you're like, this is not good.
This is not what I want. Are you going to keep watching?
Of course I'm going to keep watching. It was entertaining. I sat my family down and made them watch it, and they're like, this is good. Where's the rest? So I'm definitely going to keep watching, and I'm definitely going to keep enjoying it, I think. I think it's set itself up very well.
It definitely shows a lot of promise, and, like, this is something that I know I'm gonna watch, and I know when we film these vlogs, I'm just gonna be like, why am I putting myself through this? I'll just become more and more traumatized.
Yeah. So anyways, that was our first, The Strain vlog. So we will see you again for the next episode. Bye guys!
Alright, see y'all.